مولاي صل وسلم دائما أبدا.
الحمد لله رب العالمين. الصلاة والسلام على أشرف الأنبياء والمرسلين وعلى آله وأصحابه وآل بيته ومن اتبع سنته أجمعين. فأعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. رب اشرح لي صدري ويسر لي أمري واحلل عقدة من لساني يفقهوا قولي. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Today we will discuss Surah AlNoor. Surah AlNoor is chapter 102, 102nd chapter, which was revealed entirely in Medina and the life of Prophet. And it is now in the sequence of recitation is the 24th chapter of the Quran. So Surah Noor is again, as you know, in the Medina, as the time is going on, there are rules and laws are being dictated. And this is particularly very much about, as we see, Islam I call as a very feminist type of religion, because it always talk about protecting women. Before Islam, women were considered like a commodity or product, or they would trade a goat for a female child or a camel. They will bury them alive. They will just consider it as a indignity matter. If she is preferred to marry somebody, she likes somebody, they would kill them, which is called honor killing and whatnot. And the Arab men thought that giving their daughter away in a marriage makes them kind of indignant or degraded, because the son-in-law or the family of the men would think of themselves somebody superior. And it was very much difficult. Besides that, once they are married, first of all, they will take them as a wife. If they have inherited and parents died, they become orphan, and they will keep them as a servant and slave, and they still call them as their wife. But that was for their wealth, not for their interest in the female child, and would not give her right of a wife. They would just treat her like a servant or slave, even though because they never liked them or they did not prefer them to be their wife, but because they had the money involved. And then sometime the uncles will come and other relative will come from the father's family or husband's family, and they will take the wealth away from the women. So there was so much what we call discrimination and insult and injustice done to the women before Islam. And they would do one very insulting thing, is that they would call them, your back is like my mother's back, means you are like my mother, and they will not keep them as wife. It was their thing. They would say, you are to me like my mother. So how could a wife be like a mother? So there is a Surah Mujadala we read about, in which a woman fought with Allah and asked for that, and said, pleaded to God, and came to argue with the Prophet that what is this? That when I was young, he had children with me, and now he called me that I am like his mother, or this and that, and now I have no way to go, because in 1500 years ago, still today, in the world economy, women would not be able to generate income for themselves, and they have no way to live. And that's why there was things like prostitution, and slave women were used for prostitution. There were brothels were made, so they were used for that purpose. So all this is being mentioned in the Quran. And this surah has a very important story about a companion. His name was Bilal, or Hilal bin Umayyah. Bilal ibn Umayyah was a light-skinned man, and he was out of city or town for some reason. And when he returned home, he found his wife with a black man in a very uncomfortable position, and they were involved with fornication. And he had no other witness, because that's when he came to home without, in those days there was no way to inform I'm coming home. And he found his wife, and he did not know what to do. So he waited next day morning, and he went to Prophet, and he said, what should I do? If I kill him, that's a murder. If I don't kill him, I have to live with the indignity, and I found my wife in this situation. So Prophet ﷺ said to him, wait till Allah make a decision for you. And this Surah Noor, these verses came down about a unmarried man-woman found doing fornication will be given 100 lashes, and they will be married and exiled out of the town. And if they are married, then they are supposed to be stoned to death, because men are more inclined to do such act. So they are allowed to have more than one marriage if they don't feel comfortable, and then there's a divorce as an option. And for the women, also a divorce is an option if they don't like their husband and they want to be away from this man. And they have to wait for iddah, which means 4-month time, which we discussed last time. And once they're completed with the iddah, or if they have a child, iddah means waiting period, or if they are pregnant, then the delivery of the child is the time set for them. If they are in the age of having child, if they are before the age of having maturity or menstrual cycle, then they have to wait for 3 months. And the women who are menopausal, postmenopausal, they have to gone through the menstrual cycle off, then they have to wait for same 3 months. And those women who are widowed, they lost their husband, they have to wait for 4 months, 10 days. So that's the little distinction here. In this Surah AlNoor, which we are going to listen, there are punishment are mentioned for those people who are committing rape, fornication, adultery, punishment of bearing a false witness and relating to any one of these crimes. There's a thing called lan or lan, which means a curse on the person, bearing witness against one's whose wife when there is no other witness in the case of adultery. It means if a husband comes and says that I found my wife committing adultery, then this is considered lan. Lan is what? 4 times a person who is accused and the person who is accuser, both accused and accuser, both will say 4 times that I am not wrong, or I have not committed the crime. And if 5th time they will say, if I did so, may Allah's la'an be upon me. And that person, even though that person is involved with this crime, they will be let go free. There's no physical otherwise insult or torture for them. And this Hilal bin Umayyah's situation, which I mentioned, his wife actually was called by Prophet when he came next morning, and this Quranic verse was revealed upon him, and he said, Prophet said to him, bring your wife. And his wife came in, and he said, this is the God's command that you should say 4 times that I am not guilty of the crime he's accusing me of, and 5th time you will say, if I did so and lied, may Allah's la'an, curse be upon me. And so as he said so, because he has no other witness, because he could not bring 4 eyewitness. And when this ayah was revealed, another companion of the Prophet, he was a chief of the tribe. And he says, how could this be possible that I have to go and find 4 witnesses by the time they will be finished with their business? So Prophet says, this is how God wants you to be. So this kind of protected women for falsely being accused of crime. And this was something which is very appropriate in Islamic way, that if somebody has done wrong, they should not be publicly lynched or punished or tortured if Islamic systems protects them. The second thing is that her husband also did same thing. He said, yes, by Allah, I witnessed this thing, and she was found in committing this crime of adultery. And if I lie, may Allah's curse be upon me. So Prophet told the woman before she started saying it that if you do have something to say before you commit or say this oath, acknowledge that you have done or not. And she said, no, I have not done. And this lady was actually trying to protect her tribal, what you call tribal dignity and name and fame and family, because there was no punishment up till now. We did not know about it. So after this was over, Prophet says this woman will give birth to a child with the dark skin and curly hair, and it did happen. And the funny thing is, this child lived after Prophet, and he became the mayor of one of the city. So this is one of the things. And then there is also discussion about slander against the wife of the Prophet, Muhammad, peace be upon him. Allah's declaration of her innocence and admonition of those who were involved in this scandal. And this is about Aisha radiallahu anha. When she was in one of the during the war visit, Prophet has taken one of the wife. He always take a lot, and whoever's name come, he would take her with him. And she was very lightweight person. She was a small person, and she used to be carried on the what you call the saddleback. There's hawdaj, which is the Arabic word is hawdaj, which is like a little cabin which is carried, and she had to go for natural call, and by the time she arrived, they did not know whether she was in or not, and they lifted her box and put it on the camel back, assuming that she's in there, and actually she was actually not there. When she after what happened is, initially she went for using the bathroom, and during that time she somehow dropped a necklace which she was wearing. So she saw that her necklace was missing, and when she went out to look for it, when by the time she came in, it was the whole caravan has moved. At that time she did not know what to do, so she sat there. She lay there like a bundle and wrapped up herself. And one of the companions of Prophet was supposed to be coming after everybody has left. This was, I think, the way the caravan moves. That one person who was a late comer, who was a lazy or slower person, they would leave him to come after. So when he was about to clean up and come back, he saw that there's somebody's there, and he said, Inna lillahi wa inna ilayhi raji'un. He saw there's a girl sitting there, and he did not know who was there, and they knew that she was only one woman with them, was Aisha radiallahu anha. So he did it. He put his camel down and turned away his face, looking on the opposite direction, and said to her, get onto the camel back. When she got into it, and he arrived afterward later. When he arrived there later, the hypocrites, Abdullah bin Ubay bin Salul, the chief of the one of the tribe, which I mentioned last time, that from the Khizraj, I think he was from the chief of the Khizraj, and he hated Prophet because he was supposed to be appointed, or coronation was to be done to make him a king of that tribe, and because of arrival of Prophet he could not do that. So he had animosity, but he declared to be Muslim, but in heart he always have negative and jealousy against Prophet. So when he saw that, and he said that Aisha coming behind, and because she was a young lady and Prophet was older man, so he started spreading rumor, and along with him his people plus some of the true believer, and even cousin of Aisha radiallahu anha, Mista was one of them. 3 men were punished for this crime. One of them was Mista, who was supported, financed, and provided by her father Abu Bakr radiallahu anhu, who was his cousin. So they started spreading rumor about her, and that was a very distressful time. And then what happened was that Prophet ﷺ heard this rumor, even though Prophet says that I know about my family that they have not done any wrong, they are clean. But this rumor keeps spreading to the point where one day Prophet asked Aisha radiallahu ta'ala anha to say what she has done or not. And she said, what do you mean? I do not understand. Then Prophet said, go to stay with your parents till Allah send a command for you. So she still did not know, because the rumors was going outside and she was in home. She went to her father's home, and for a month Prophet did not visit her, and that was never like that. The Prophet would not pay attention to her being not home. And during this time, Prophet ﷺ asked Abu Bakr. He could not say. He said, Ya Rasulullah, she's my daughter. What can I say about it? If I say anything, I'll be favoring my child. I do not know what to advise you. So Prophet asked advice from Ali radiallahu anhu. Ali radiallahu ta'ala anhu, according to the historical account, he said, Ya Rasulullah, God has blessed you. You can take any woman you want to be in the marriage. If you are worried and upset about her or this relation, or if accusation come to her name. So Ali radiallahu ta'ala said such thing which really hurt the feeling of Aisha radiallahu anha. But Prophet Ali radiallahu ta'ala was talking to comfort Prophet, not that he was accusing her of it. He said, if you feel there's something, then you know more than us. Then he called Abu Bakr radiallahu anhu, Umar radiallahu anhu. Umar radiallahu ta'ala said a very beautiful thing. He said, Ya Rasulullah, did ever a fly sit on your body or your clothes? He said, no. He said, God forbid a unclean insect or fly not to sit on your body. How could he allow an impure and unclean woman to be in your home and to be your bed? And this is what Prophet says, thank you, Umar, and he pleased him that you comforted me. But then after this, almost a month passed, Prophet visited her, and when he visited her, she said, I've heard the rumor that I have been accused of a fornication, which I never thought it will ever be, and I did not know. And when she had learned, she had lost weight, she became hungry, distressed and crying all the time, would not talk to anybody. Her father would not say. Such a stressful situation in that culture in that time. And being the wife of a prophet, and being accused it, and a lot of rumors were spreading around. So you see, they attacked on Prophet's private, personal, family affair. So at that time, Prophet says, Aisha, say what you have to say in your defense. She said, I don't have to say anything in my defense, only Allah will be my witness. And then Surah Noor, 10 verses were revealed in honor of Aisha al-Mu'mineen radiallahu anha. You see, this thing tells us 1500 years later, Allah testified for Aisha's innocence. And this is what Quranic revelation. Then the law came in that nobody can accuse a woman without having a 4-eye witness being there at the time and where you find it. That's why we see in case of Muslim might be doing wrong or right, but there's no witness and there's no way of punishing people. So this is the short, I try to describe this thing. And then there are other details about it. Inshallah, we'll come to discuss about it. And then Allah also commanded single person to get married, not to stay that, and slaves help them getting free from the slavery. And Allah is the light of heavens and earth, and He created everything living creature from water. So all the life form comes from water. Inshallah, we'll discuss this in detail when it comes to that. And we are commanded to, when we hear, we should obey. And the rules about how to enter the room of a married couple or parents, children, and household relation, the eating in the house, entering the house without permission and all that. So these are the etiquettes which are taught. Let's listen to the first verse. Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim.
بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم سورة أنزلناها وفرضناها وأنزلنا فيها آيات بينات لعلكم تذكرون.
In the name of Allah, most gracious, most merciful. This is a surah we have sent down and enjoined, and sent down in it clear signs, so that you may receive the advice.
الزانية والزاني فاجلدوا كل واحد منهما 100 جلدة ولا تأخذكم بهما رأفة في دين الله إن كنتم تؤمنون بالله واليوم الآخر وليشهد عذابهما طائفة من المؤمنين.
The fornicating woman and the fornicating man, flog each one of them with 100 stripes. No pity for them should prevail upon you in the matter of Allah's religion, if you really believe in Allah and the last day, and a group of believers must witness their punishment.
الزاني لا ينكح إلا زانية أو مشركة والزانية لا ينكحها إلا زان أو مشرك وحرم ذلك على المؤمنين.
A man who is fornicator does not like to marry but a woman who is a fornicator or a polytheist, and a woman who is a fornicator does not like to marry but a man who is a fornicator or a polytheist. And this, for example, preferring to marry such spouses, has been prohibited for the believers.
So these first 3 verses, as we see, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is describing Surah Anzalnaha. This chapter is surah, which is chapter, is surah is chapter, sent down and enjoined. Faradnaha, made it obligatory. Wa anzalna fiha ayatin, and descended in this down there verses of God. Bayyanatin, very clear and manifest. La'allakum tadhakkarun, so that you may remember and reflect upon it. Az-zaniyatu, the fornicating woman and fornicating man, should be given 100 flogs. Okay, original revelation came in that they were supposed to be stoned to death, and then this revelation replaced that revelation. Okay, so this is where ma nansakh min ayatin aw nunsinatin bi khairin minha aw misliha. So this was revealed, and the laws was clarified that married couple or married man and woman, if they commit fornication, they will be stoned to death, and there should be no mercy upon them. And the unmarried man and woman should be flogged 100 lashes and then be married and exiled from the town. And this is what they did. And there was a situation where some new arrival in Medina from Mecca, the immigrants, they were poor, they were not financially stable and strong. And there was a situation happen that they were thinking to be married to some of the women who were committing prostitution.